So a couple of weeks ago, I got a call from one of my clients, and the call was to tell me that she had cancer. And for a while, I knew that something was off with her. Like, that's the truth. I knew that something was wrong. I just didn't know what it is. And sometimes something is wrong with someone, and you want to help them, but you don't know what to say. And the truth is that we had grown so much further than just being client-coach relationship, right? She's a friend. And honest to God, she's family. And what's real for me is that in that moment, I found myself listening to her talk about her experience, talk about what she was going through. And the honest to God truth is that I just wanted to cry. And when I hung up the phone with her, I realized to myself, I said, cancer can happen to any of us. I remember being a teenager and first learning about cancer inside of my home. And I won't go into the details because I know that some family member will have, will call me in a few seconds, and say, why did you make it known? Why did you talk about it? But what I learned from that moment is that when we're sick, we really want to keep it quiet, right? We want to keep it to ourselves because we don't want people to know. We don't want to feel needy. We don't want people to see us as handicapped. And I know for a fact that Anna didn't say anything because she felt like she didn't want to be a burden to anyone. She didn't want to make anyone feel sorry for her, or probably she was just scared all in herself. So many times on the journey, we're going through crazy dark times, things that make no sense. And the first thing we do is we look to retreat. We look to try to create sense out of what doesn't make sense. More importantly for me, we look to hide. I know that last year I was sick for 7 months, and to this day, I have yet to talk at length about what happened to me. I have yet to talk at length as to why did I have 3 surgeries. I have yet to talk at length as to why was I in and out of the hospital for 7 months. I have alluded to the fact that I was immobile for part of that time, and that part of my situation was life or death. But I realized I was so scared that I didn't want to bring anyone else into that journey, and more importantly, I didn't want to feel alone. I didn't want anyone to feel sorry for me, and I felt like if you felt sorry for me in that moment, I'd be alone. I think that that's the default of a woman. A woman is so used to going like this and keeping the world afloat that we literally go into automatic mode, and we're like, oh, you know what? It's okay. Let me continue to wear this weight. I don't really want to tell anybody what's going on. I want everyone I want to keep up the illusion as long as I possibly can. But at some time, like, something hits the fan and you have to stop. I'll tell you, when Anna gave me a call and told me that she had cancer, I actually didn't know what to do. I felt helpless. I felt like I wanted to fly across the country and go find her. And it was real for me. And at that moment, I realized it wasn't a her problem. It was an us problem. The greatest thing for me about being a part of the Onwards to Freedom community, and if you are here and you're part of the Onwards to Freedom community, give me an emoji and a GIF, even if you're watching this on replay. Because what's real is that at that moment, she knew that she wasn't alone. And more importantly, at first, she was going to keep it to herself. And I spent time with her last week, and what I shared with her is what I'm going to share with you, which I'm taking a dose of my own medicine. She can't keep it to herself. She absolutely needs to share it. And I'm not saying she needs to stand on a platform and speak it from the crowd. No, but she needs to give voice to the thing that's giving her fear, simply because of the fact that there are other people who need to hear your story. It's like if you keep the scariest parts of your story to yourself, then no one gets to heal. No one gets to grow. No one gets to the next level. No one gets to the next level because everyone's trapped by fear of what can and can't be accomplished, by what they are or not, and more importantly, by whatever is debilitating them. Anna, I gotta say thank you so very much for being willing to share your story. Thank you today. When I watched your video today, your Facebook Live, and you cried, I thought to myself, that's so real. It's tough to be strong, but not only were you strong, but you walked through the process. And you reminded me of how strong we are together. You reminded me of what it is to be a woman. You reminded me of the journey that we go through that no one else really does. You reminded me of all the different ailments that we are thinking of. And I say ailments, I feel like they're crippling, right? So in some aspects, it is the fact that we're women and we're subject to fibromyalgia, right? We're subject to fibroids. We're subject to breast cancer. We're subject to ... And then if it's not us walking through that door, we're the ones who have children. No matter what, we have the children. The man gets the opportunity to leave. And I'm not saying women don't leave, but I'll tell you the truth. It is more common for a man to leave than for a woman to run. And whether or not we love the children or don't love the children or want the children, like all of that's irrelevant. At that moment, we have to stand up and be responsible. Even sometimes we don't feel like it. Even sometimes when we're not ready to. Even sometimes when we feel like we're dying inside. I know for a fact that our stories as women are the most powerful thing that we possess. And what's real is I watch Anna go through this conversation around being a woman and going through this experience. She made it clear that she knew she wasn't alone. And you know, I was so excited about that. I made a commitment with her. I think that I've stayed too long. I think I've done a disservice myself. I've talked about the story and being a single mom. I've talked about fighting for my dream. I've talked about not thinking small. But I've not talked about the woman aspect of my own journey. That's the part of the journey that I think I keep too quiet. It's a part of the journey that maybe subconsciously I look to forget sometimes. It doesn't hurt me at all today, but I know that there are more pieces of my story of abuse, of trauma, of just pure ugliness that I know is just true to me being a woman, that others can learn from, and I have the opportunity to help heal. I know for a fact that breast cancer can happen to any of us. So we decided, today marks October 1st, right? It's the beginning of National Breast Cancer Awareness Day, which I think is so cool that she made it known to her world today. Today also marks National Women in Small Business Month. And I thought to myself, you know, Anna's gonna have surgery in a couple of weeks. So if you have not loved her, not talked to her, any form of encouragement would be flipping awesome. She is gonna have surgery in less than 2 weeks. She is strengthening her body and mind every single day to get through it so that she too can be cancer-free. And what's real about that is that we're all going to wait for her to be on the other side of being cancer-free. And with that, I decided that we're gonna heal together. And I'm gonna do something I've never done before. I'm gonna talk about my journey. I'm gonna walk through my journey as being a woman inside of this place, because of the fact that not only is this conversation on cancer real, it is for us in our community and Onwards to Freedom. We're gonna be doubling down to support her. But you know, she said to me, I said, well, you know, what can we do? What would make you happy? And she said, you know, I don't really have a thing. And then she talked about fundraising. And I said, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take the rest of the tickets that we have for the stage and I'm gonna sell them myself. Very different than running an ad or any of the above. I'm gonna go back to old school selling and I'm going to give all of the money to something specific that has been true to us in Onwards to Freedom. So last week in Temecula, we were talking about the fact that there's 114,000 people who go to sleep on the streets in Los Angeles, California. And inside of that, 14,000 of them, I understand, plus or minus, are children. Almost half of that number belongs to women. Women sleeping on the streets. And if you've never talked to a woman who sleeps on the streets, who is subject to being raped, who is subject to being beaten, who is subject to being, who is forced into a corner where she's got children, she wants to feed them, she needs to make good for them. And the only way for her to make some money is to do things that she just doesn't want to do. You've not had that kind of conversation. I'll tell you, it's one of the toughest conversations I've ever had in my lifetime. Because I know the reality of the woman who has children, who has no options, and I know the reality of the story that we all kind of walk through. And just because some women make it and some women don't, doesn't mean that we don't all share almost like a form of solid sisterhood. We, regardless of the color, the age, the background, the religion, the country we're born, every woman on the planet shares a sisterhood, because there's only things that we go through that only we understand. And being the founders or the breath or at the beginning of life itself in its purest form, I know for a fact that not only are we just these amazing creatures, but more importantly, I know that we're stronger together. I know that we have stories that can help us heal, but not just help us heal, but help us get to the next level. And I know for a fact between Ann Stockwell walking us through her journey, being a woman in the Me Too movement, and just know on the Onwards to Freedom woman is emerging, and we have just started the process of collecting the Me Too stories. Mine will be the first. The second is I start tonight at 8 p.m. I'm going to be talking with Anna every night as she goes through this journey of her life. Every single night, we're going to have a public conversation around different stories on being a woman. Ann Stockwell, I just talked about you a second ago, so it's so exciting to see you here. Mallory, good to see you. Jennifer Hemphill, we are talking about cancer that is here inside of our community. And one of my closest friends and clients has just come out with breast cancer. And we are going to be doing a conversation every single night without air as she walks through the scariest part of her life, or one of the, and we walk through it as a community, what it means to share our stories and help heal. Just know that I'm going to be tagging, calling, connecting people. We have only a handful of tickets left. And Anna wants to start, we've been talking for a long time about a program for women to teach women on the streets, in shelters or in halfway houses, who have escaped abuse, who have just left sex trafficking, who have children, how to start a business. That is going to be that is one of the big focus moments for the Onwards to Freedom family, because I know from experience, yes, we can go and get a job. Yes, we have Success Ready programs, but I'll tell you, all the Success Ready programs force me to learn a skill, force me to learn an idea, force me to learn something that I may not really have at this moment. But everybody can start a business. Everybody can start a business. Everybody can start a business. Everybody can start a business, because everybody has a story, and everybody has a story that's worth hearing. So inside of this, let me just say, I am super excited. If you've watched this in any capacity, I'd love it if you would tag, share, connect, just tag a woman. Like, listen to this random Black woman, literally, seriously. Listen to this random Black woman with black lipstick for 10 minutes and just see what you think, right? I mean that, hands down. I super mean that. And I know that for some people that was that was super uncomfortable, but that's the reality of the picture. That's the reality of the picture. So I'm going to be back here with Ana Gonzalez at 8 o'clock tonight, Pacific time. And every single night, if you're interested in offering your opinions, it'll be an interactive. So this is not going to be just us talking. We did a few of these last week. I'm going to be pulling other women in. I'd love to hear your thoughts around your journeys of being a woman, as being a woman mom, being a woman coming from trauma, being a woman coming from poverty, being a woman coming from a third world country, being a woman coming from a certain type of religion, being a woman, period. So I am excited. I am thrilled. Anna, thank you for giving us the platform. The stage, the conference takes place in 30 days. And hands down, I'm going to sell a certain amount of tickets so that we can start this fund. Anna has a goal that she has set because we have a certain amount of women we want to help starting January 1st in getting out of halfway houses and actually starting a business. Because I'll tell you what, for all the jobs that you could get, a woman who doesn't have a college degree, if you live in Los Angeles and you get that woman through a success readiness program and she completes it, and yeah, she completes it, but that $32,000 a year is not going to help her with 2 children in Los Angeles. It just won't. She's going to be frustrated. She's going to be overwhelmed. She's going to feel trapped. And I'll tell you what, there is nothing worse on this planet than feeling like you're in a cycle of being alone. There's nothing worse on this planet than feeling like no one cares. There's nothing worse on this planet than feeling like no one gets you, no one's there, no one can hear you, no one's listening. There is literally no one, there is nothing worse than feeling like it's just you. There's nothing worse. I haven't felt anything worse yet. So I, hands down, absolutely, I'm super excited. Anna, thank you for sharing your story of cancer with us. That's it. So I'll see you back here at 8.